Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I've seen this movie twice now. I finally feel like I can give a real review, and how this review is going to go, I'm going to do a spoiler-free review. It's not going to have any spoilers. I'm going to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and then I'm going to give my rating. And then after that, I'm going to go into spoilers. So it's kind of like a two-part review in one. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't like to do two separate videos. I hardly ever do that for spoiler reviews. So I just want to put it all in one, let you know my feelings, and that's what you're going to get. Now, I am a huge Star Wars fan. I'm obsessed with Star Wars. I loved Force Awakens. And this is just my opinion. I know sometimes people get all caught up in, if you don't like something, then you're an idiot, or if you like something, then it's just my opinion. Film is subjective. Star Wars movies are even more subjective. It's a mixed bag all over the interwebs. And for me, it was a mixed bag too. When I first went and saw the movie, I was very confused, is the best word to say about it, and had a mixed feeling about the whole thing. I went and seen it again, and it grew on me a little bit, but it's still, I have a lot of questions about the movie, and we're going to get into all that here. So, The Last Jedi picks up right where Episode 7 left off. The First Order, even though their super battle station was destroyed, they are still pretty powerful. They have forces all over. You learn in the crawl that they have forces all over the place, and they are chasing pretty much the last of the Resistance. So it opens up with a really awesome battle scene. And then, like everybody knows, at the end of Episode 7, Rey is on that island. She found Luke, and we're going to see, what's going on. What is Luke doing on this island? Is Rey going to be trained by her? We get answers to all those questions. And then some of our side characters are scattered around. Finn was really injured in that duel with Kylo Ren, and we want to see what happens to him when he wakes up from his weird coma thing. And Kylo was severely injured, and so we want to see how his training goes and how his feelings about all this is going on. I'll go through all the good stuff first. This film looks fantastic. Some of the stylistic choices that Rian Johnson took in this movie are great. The space battles look awesome. Most of the CG looks fantastic. And the few fight scenes that we do get are really cool and unique, and everything just looks great. The score by John Williams is great. He introduces some new themes, brings back themes from Episode 7, and then at just the right moments brings back some of the old stuff just when you need to. I particularly liked the whole Rose and Finn theme that they played throughout this movie. I mean, their part of the movie is a big part of the story, and their theme music was really good. I enjoyed it. Out of this huge ensemble cast, my two particular favorites were Mark Hamill. He was fantastic. He hasn't played Luke in 30 plus years, and you could feel Luke in there. He's a different Luke, but you could feel him in there, and it was just a great performance all around. Another standout for me was Poe. I really liked Poe. He had a great character arc in this movie. He wants to just fight at all costs, get the job done, and Leia wants him to be more of a leader and to think before he does some of this crazy action stuff. And he learns throughout the movie, becomes a better character towards the end of the movie, and I loved his character arc. He had the funniest lines, I feel like, and I just really enjoyed him in this movie. Now, I will say this is a very bold and different Star Wars movie. It sometimes doesn't even feel like a Star Wars movie. Some people will consider this a good thing, and some people will consider this a bad thing. For me, I'm mixed. There are some things they did that I thought, wow, that is different, and they took a chance here, and I liked it. Then there's other things they did that I didn't like. And I'll get more into that. That's one of my major spoiler type comments I'm going to be making towards the end of the review. Now, some of the bad stuff. This is not a perfect movie, no matter how much I wanted it to be. The first thing is there are some slow pacing. It seems like most of the critics, this was their number one complaint, was the Finn and Rose side quest storyline where they go to a different planet. That seemed to slow the movie down. For me, it didn't bug me as much, but I get where they're coming from. This whole chunk of the movie probably could have been cut out, and it would have made for a better, faster-paced movie, because everything else that's going on in this movie is really fast paced, and it does seem to slow down a little bit during their scenes. There's some cheesy dialogue. It's not like, prequel Attack of the Clones bad, but there's a few lines that I was like, ugh, and once again, a lot of it involves Rose and Finn. So, I don't think it was their fault. It was just some weird dialogue that I didn't like. This movie has more humor than you would think. I didn't mind it. Most of the humor hit for me, but there were a few times where it felt a little off to me. And within the first 5 minutes, there is several jokes, and one of the jokes really worked for me, and one didn't. Maybe I'll go into those in the spoilers, but for the most part, the humor worked for me, but there were some times that I did not like. Probably my biggest negative, and what I'll really go into in the spoilers, is they do things with the Force here that it's really different. And sometimes it works, and sometimes I'm like, why are we doing this? In episode 7, Rey did all these crazy things, and people were like, she's a Mary Sue. And I was like, no, it's going to be explained. She's not a Mary Sue. But in this movie, it felt like they double down. They do even more things with the Force that don't make a whole lot of sense, that you've never seen before. And to me, a lot of it was just bugged me. And even seeing it a second time, the same thing still bugged me. So I'll get into that with my spoiler too, but that was a major negative for me. Finally, it felt like at times in this movie, the Rian Johnson and Lucasfilm were kind of giving a giant middle finger to some of the fans who were trying to predict things and had all these different theories on things. And, I give them credit for being bold and different. Sometimes it felt a little too much. And, I wanted some answers for some things, and we didn't get a whole lot. But overall, the movie has some great Star Wars moments. It looks great. It has great music. The characters, I still care about these characters a ton. They have some of the best characters in this film. Rey is great in this movie. I like her. Leia is much improved. That was one of my negatives in The Force Awakens. I thought that Leia's performance was a little rusty. In this one, I didn't have that problem. Her performance was fine for me. So overall, while I enjoyed the movie, I will say I was let down by it. I had this, maybe it was on me. I had too much expectations for this movie. But it made me realize that I wasn't crazy. The Force Awakens is a fantastic movie. I wasn't crazy in hyping that up. I love that movie. It's better than this movie in my opinion. Once again, it's my opinion. I enjoyed The Last Jedi, but this is not to the level that Force Awakens was for me. It made me appreciate Force Awakens more, and it made me glad that J.J. Abrams is coming back to do Episode 9. I'm going to give The Last Jedi a 4 out of 5. Now, before we go into spoilers, I am going to do my real quick rankings of the Star Wars films, and then I'll get into spoilers. So, if you don't want to know my rankings, then go ahead and get off this video, or this will be the bridge between spoilers and non-spoilers. So, this is your last warning. After my rankings, I'm going to get into spoilers. So, my rankings, I'm not going to count the Clone War animated movie. I guess if I was going to put that in my list, it'd be number 10. But I'm going to start at number 9. Attack of the Clones is at number 9. It's by far the worst Star Wars movie in my opinion. Number 8 is The Phantom Menace. It has some cool moments. I appreciate it more and more times I watch it. I'm not a prequel hater, but a lot of people know that. But, for me, it's number 8. Number 7, this is going to shock some people. The Last Jedi is number 7 for me. I could see me changing it later, maybe swapping it with number 6 occasionally. But right now, the way I'm feeling, The Last Jedi, after seeing it twice, is number 7 for me. So that puts number 6, Rogue One. I liked a lot of Rogue One, but it was a very different movie again, and didn't have a lot of character development, so Rogue One is number 6 for me. Number 5 is Return of the Jedi. A lot of people still probably are shocked that I have Return of the Jedi so low on this list, but the Ewoks, everything, the beginning of Return of the Jedi and end of Return of the Jedi are fantastic, but everything in the middle really bugs me. I do not like the Ewok stuff. And so that's why it's low. Revenge of the Sith, it's still my favorite prequel movie and better than Return of the Jedi to me. I defend Revenge of the Sith all the time. I love that movie. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I stick by that review. I love Revenge of the Sith. That's my number 4. My number 3 is Force Awakens. I'm sticking by that review. review too. I love Force Awakens, and it was far superior than The Last Jedi, number 3. My number 2 is A New Hope, the original, the granddaddy of them all. It's hard still to beat that. And then number 1 is Empire. Like most people, Empire is a perfect movie. There's like really nothing wrong with it. And I still love it. So now let's get into some spoilers. And I'm just going to talk about, like my normal review, I'm going to talk about some things. I'm going to start off with the things I didn't like. Then I'll end with a few things that I did like. And then, yeah, then we'll end this sucker. Like I said, the humor didn't hit sometimes. The scene I was talking about that didn't hit right off the bat for me, when Snoke smacks Hux on the ground right out the gate. I was just like, what are we doing? I like the whole joke with Poe at the beginning because, you know, we established that in The Force Awakens, that's how he is. But I don't know if I liked Snoke being funny. I just didn't like that joke right out of the gate. There was some other ones that I don't know if we needed. There was a really weird one involving Luke getting some milk. It was a little weird. Anyways, some of the humor didn't work. My first Force problem with this movie, and I have a ton of Force problems with this movie, the whole Leia stuff, I just feel like they could have handled it better. I heard Harloff talking on one of his many 400 reviews that, you know, it would have been cool if she was just buried under some rubble and she just, you know, burst out of the rocks or lifted the rocks up or something. That would have been cooler. I agree. There was a million different ways we could have had, oh, Leia is strong in the Force. She can use the Force. Then that, it looked weird. It's something that's never been done in the Force before, and I didn't like it. And that was the first moment of the movie where I was like, are they going to do a whole bunch of new things we've never seen before in the Force? And oh yeah, they do. My next problem is Snoke. I just don't, it's this whole Snoke thing, you know, I get it. I guess Lucasfilm and Johnson were like, yeah, all your Snoke theories suck. He's just a bad guy. Get over it. But he's so powerful in the Force. He does things that we've never seen in the Force before, and then he's killed off, and I don't know if we're ever going to know who Snoke is, how he rose to power. And yeah, we might get a book or something, but I really feel like we need a few lines of dialogue in this movie to explain who the heck this guy is and why is he so powerful. It really bugged me. And then even more so once he dies, which that moment when they kill him, it's really cool. It's one of the goosebump moments I'll talk about here later. But it's just, I just wish we could have got more backstory for him. Are Rey's parents really no one? This is another thing that at first I thought, no, this is dead set. They're clearly saying that Rey's parents are no one. I mean, they mention it multiple times in this movie. Maz hints at it, you know, in episode 7. I'm fine with that, I guess. I wish she was tied to someone. I don't like how powerful she is with the Force, and she's just that way. Like, how does she even know about the Jedi mind trick? Did she read about it somewhere in episode 7? Because, like I said in my non-spoiler part of this review, a lot of people said she was a Mary Sue, and I was like, no, we're going to learn about her later on down the road. Well, it seems like we're not. That she's just a random super strong Force user, and then that kind of, you know, messes some of the things up in episode 7 if we don't answer it later on. So really, the whole thing with her parents, now I get that maybe Kylo was lying to her, and maybe she does have some significant parents, and we'll find out in episode 9. That could be a cool twist moment that we could get. I hope so, because this is another unanswered question that kind of bugged me in the movie. So during the whole Luke-Kylo fight, we find out that Luke was kind of like projecting himself onto the planet, which is kind of a cool twist, but once again, this is something that's never been done before. Not to my knowledge. I know that people are going to point to some other things, but not to this scale. At first, when I first saw the movie, I felt like, oh, he's been dead the whole time. He's a Force ghost. That would have been a really cool twist. I almost wish that's how it was. I feel like that twist would have been even crazier. Whereas this one, it gives you a bunch of mixed emotions. First, you're like, oh, that's cool. But then I guess he expends so much power doing this that he dies anyway. So I don't know. I just didn't feel 100% with the way that all went. I think maybe they could have done it a little bit better. And it does make you feel a little cheated, because I know everybody wanted this crazy Luke comeback moment, and we don't really ever get it. I mean, we kind of do, but it felt like you were cheated a little bit because he's not even really there. And this brings me another point that I don't like. There's no real lightsaber battle in this, not lightsaber to lightsaber. This is one of the only episode movies to ever have that. The fight scene with them against Snoke's guards is cool, but it's not lightsaber to lightsaber. And then, you know, Luke just kind of dodges Kylo's attacks for the whole he's not really there part of the story. So that disappointed me a little bit. Another little nitpicky thing, I guess, R2-D2. I mean, at episode 7 I thought, oh, we'll get him more. And this movie, he's barely in it. He's just in it for a tiny little bit. His moment is great, but like, what is he doing? He's just sitting in the corner of the Millennium Falcon collecting dust for most of this movie. It's a little weird. My final negative, and then I'll go into some of the positives, was the whole kid thing at the end. Like, they should have cut it before they went to the kid back on Canto Bight. Like, like, I don't know, that was very Disney feeling. It felt like, oh, everybody's a Jedi. Well, we get that. We don't need that stupidity, especially if we've never mentioned that or go back to that again, which I have a feeling we're not going to. And it felt like it was just, I don't know. I didn't like that end. I wish they had just ended with them on the Falcon. Alright, we'll get into some good stuff involving spoilers. My first good thing is I love the whole Kylo talking to Rey Force stuff. This was the new Force stuff that we got that I actually liked. I liked the sound design when they would go into their, like, talking to each other's mind. I like the twist that we find out that Snoke is the one who did it, although that goes into my negatives, because once again, why is Snoke so powerful, but whatever. I like the whole setup. I like the jokes in there. I liked Kylo's character in this movie is really good, very developed, kind of carries the movie sometimes, and I like their chemistry. Their chemistry was really cool and could set up for an interesting twist in episode 9. Maybe they're really related. We'll see. Like I said earlier, there was 2 goosebump moments for me in this movie. In episode 7, my goosebump moment was when Rey pulls the lightsaber out of the sword right before she goes to fight Kylo. I love that moment. Still gives me goosebumps. I've seen that movie like 15 times. In this movie, there was 2. One is when Vice Admiral Holdo, played by Laura Dern, decides she's going to sacrifice herself so they can escape to this rebel base. And she turns the ship around and light speeds right into the dang fleet. And that moment is so beautifully shot. And the sound design, everything, it is just amazing. I appreciate it even more the second time around. So in the moment, the first time, that scene is fantastic. The look of it, everything. The moment that she sacrifices herself, everything about it is fantastic. Gave me goosebumps. My second goosebump moment is when you see Kylo turn the lightsaber, slice Snoke in half. But my favorite part is when Rey holds her hand up, the lightsaber still on, comes to her hand, she grabs the lightsaber. Holy crap, that moment was fantastic. I couldn't believe they just killed Snoke, but that moment gave me goosebumps. It was fantastic. And then the fight scene right after that was great. Almost made up for the fact that we didn't get a lightsaber duel in this movie, but it was fantastic. Those are my 2 goosebump moments, things I really did like. I'll end with this, like I said in my other part. It's just my opinion. This movie may grow on me on repeat viewings. One thing, no, I don't know how many more times I'll go see this. There's another reason why I like Force Awakens more. It was a very repeat watch. I've seen it like 15 times. I saw it 6 or 7 times in theaters. This movie, I feel like maybe one more time and I'll be good to go until it comes out on Blu-ray. But, you know, I was a little sad that Rian Johnson wasn't going to do episode 9. I know he's getting a new trilogy, and that may be cool because this movie is very different. It really feels like that Disney let him make his movie. And some of the things he does is good, some of the things he doesn't aren't. I'm interested to see what he does with the new trilogy that may have nothing to do with any of this. But I'm even more looking forward to the fact that J.J. Abrams is returning to do episode 9. And maybe he can return to the greatness that I felt like was episode 7. So I'm looking forward to J.J. returning to episode 9. And I'm also looking forward to see what Rian Johnson does with the new trilogy. Like I said, I enjoyed the movie. It is just really different, really weird. A lot of the Force stuff I didn't like. But, you know, who cares? It's still a Star Wars movie. And since we're getting one of these, you know, every year for the foreseeable future, it's not going to bug me that this wasn't, you know, didn't live up to my hype or hope. But we'll see. What did you guys think? Comment below if you agreed or disagreed with any of my stuff. I don't care to have debates with people about these things. I went to the movie with a bunch of friends. All my friends that I went with, they're not like super Star Wars nerds. They all seem to hate the movie. They just, I don't know. they're cynical that way though. I've noticed a lot of the people in the crowds cheered at certain moments, clapped. There was people that really loved the movie. I've talked to people since who think it's, you know, one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. But you know, I've talked to a lot of people that couldn't stand it, thought it was one of the worst ones ever made. I'm still kind of in the middle. I know I ranked it real low on my scale, but I enjoyed it. And that's all I'm going to say. May the Force be with you always. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you want to stay up to date with all my reviews and reactions, hit the subscribe button. While you're at it, hit the like button on this video. Comment down below. Some of my last videos should magically appear here. Click those. Until next time, this is Rainy Cage. Peace out.